Okay, hi guys. So this video is going to be about how to execute your attitude turn on pointe. When I subbed for you a couple weeks ago, or I guess a couple months ago at this point, I know that that was in your dance and that it was something that we were working on for a little bit and just kind of, figuring out what are some best practices for executing it well in your dance. So I'm going to go over that. So first thing, I remember talking to you guys about this and that when we did it with the music, it kind of worked, and it's kind of just this like vague concept of just going for it. So I know a lot of things on pointe. It's, like I said in the pirouette video, if you would watch that first, sometimes we psych ourselves out because we have like a little extra space to get on, and our balance has to be so precise on pointe that it could be a little scary. So when you're practicing at home, just make sure that you kind of have the mindset of like not being afraid of it and like believing that you're not gonna fall over, that you can do it, so that when you're practicing it, you're really going for it and giving it your all. Second thing is, in order to do the turn well, you have to have the position well, right? Or to the position correct and strong. So let's just go over a little bit about how to do a attitude position on pointe correctly. So please do this in front of a mirror so that you can check yourself and correct yourself, because I'm not there to pinpoint different things that you need to work on. So work on it on both legs too. I think your left leg goes up into attitude for the turn and you turn to the right. So make sure you're evening yourself out too with that. So when you're on pointe, obviously I can't be on pointe, so I'm on demi-pointe, but you want to make sure that your leg, first and foremost, your knee is not drooping, right? We want to lift that knee and make sure that it's not to the side, that it's directly behind us. And then also making sure you're not sickling your foot. So take a look at your attitude position in the mirror, making sure that your knee is lifted, that it's not facing downward and that your foot isn't above it, but that you're on a level ground here, that it's directly behind you so that you're not coming out to the side like this. No one wants to see the kind of, I call it the like peeing on a fire hydrant position. We do not want that. So make sure it's behind you. And making sure that the foot is not sickled. We want to make sure that we have a nice pointed, strong foot. Our knee is lifted and it's directly behind us. In addition to that, it's really, really, really important to pull up from your lower abdominals. So if you don't do that, you're going to be kind of either arching your back, which will throw you off balance when you're trying to turn, or just balance on pointe. And it also just isn't like it doesn't help you, right? You're pulling up your core helps, and so you need to resist that. And that goes for anything derriere. So when you're tenduing or have a dégagé or an arabesque, making sure that you are pulled up from the lower abdominals and on the supporting side. Hello to my dog again. And then another great thing to think about is pretending that there is like either a stretch band or just like a line coming from your opposite shoulder to that knee. And so that'll give you kind of a good visual to help you stay square in the shoulders, because if not, sometimes we like lean over a little bit, especially if we're holding onto the bar. So you want to make sure that your shoulders are square and that knee is behind you, and kind of visualize from your right shoulder or whatever is the opposite. So that opposite shoulder to the knee are kind of thinking about pulling them towards each other, and that will help you have that upright square position. So once you have that and have the position down, I would work on strengthening, because like I said, if you're in my ballet tech class, a lot of times our problem, once we know the position and once we know the proper technique, is not having the strength to hold it there. So you want to make sure that you can hold that attitude position with ease. So working on holding it, you can even do maybe some attitude lifts to work on that, and really just pushing. So it should be uncomfortable. You need to push that leg higher. Think about pulling the shoulder to that knee, to the point where you're gaining strength, so that it becomes easier and easier. So you'll feel it in this side of your body of the attitude. So you want to make sure you're resisting and pulling up. And so that's kind of the first thing. Try balancing on flat, making sure you have that position, and strengthening all those muscles. And once you do that, so I would continue doing that throughout the summer, so that when we come back, and we only have 4 weeks before we go on stage, you're not worrying about being sore or losing any strength, that we're in fact gaining strength over the summer. Okay, so all of that being said, when you're on pointe and you're doing the turn in the dance, so this is where it gets a little tricky, because I know that you guys, I forget exactly how you get into that turn, but I know that you don't have a long preparation, right? You don't have like a whole count or two to like be in the preparation. It's kind of like you plie and then you're up into it. And so with that being said, you need to make sure that you are thinking about all the things that you need to be doing at like coming up to that point in the choreography. So making sure that your core is engaged. You don't engage your core as you're getting up into the turn. You engage it beforehand so that you have that stability. And then also knowing where you need to put your weight in the plie. So the plie is super quick, so you don't have time to think about, oh, is my weight too far back or am I too far forward? You have to have that exact place that you can just releve straight up, rather than like kind of going over and up, or finding your balance while you're up there, or else you're just going to fall over. And then if you're falling over, you're not really going to be thinking about keeping your knee lifted and all those different things. It's just going to kind of not be a successful turn. So you want to make sure that whatever the position is, however you get into it, you know exactly where you are so you can go up and go into that balance. So while you're practicing that, kind of go back maybe like 4 counts before and just really get that repetitive part into your body of just doing it over and over again from there. And then what else? Let's see. Oh, and then also paying attention to your landing as well. So when you're practicing it, don't just go up into the turn and then like fall out of it and give up. Make sure that every time you practice it, you're coming from that preparation that's in the dance, doing the turn in its entirety. Even if it doesn't go as well as you want, maybe you kind of fell over or fell out of it, make sure you're landing it intentionally. Kind of like I talk about in ballet class, your follow through is so important to setting yourself up for success in the turn as well, because I always say practice makes permanent. So if you're always falling out of it and you're always kind of just landing it because it's you're not actually doing it with the music in the studio, chances are the more you get that wrong way of doing it into your body, the more you're setting yourself up to do it wrong on stage or when you come back into the studio. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. So yeah, put all those things into practice and make sure you are getting those turns in at least like once a week, if not more, gaining that strength and the attitude, making sure that you know that position, that it's in that muscle memory, so that you don't have to think about it when you're turning, so you can just focus on really executing that turn when you're doing it with the dance. So awesome, happy practicing.